what we've done is we've basically pulled in about 10 people who I'm going to answer their questions live. Jimmy, do you want to go ahead and bring up the first guest?
Hi, Leila.
Hi, it's Soma.
Soma, that's it.
Very pretty. So you're the founder of Actor Academy. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds exactly like the name. It's an academy for actors. I myself am an actress. Been acting since I was really little, and I decided to start my own acting school.
Really cool.
And yeah, it's something a little different than most people do because it's a very uncommoditized industry.
Yeah.
And Hollywood is very tight-lipped and hard to break into, and that's something that I really wanted to change. But in doing that, I faced a lot of, I guess, pushback from the industry.
Yep.
So my question for you is, well, I mean, maybe I should give some background first. I read $100 million offers, and it really changed the way I was looking at my business. So I decided to offer a guarantee. In offering a guarantee, it shook the industry, I guess, where people started saying that scam-like behavior, it's a red flag for a coach to be able to guarantee results or guarantee you a role, even though, of course, I have it in writing that I'll give a refund if I can't do what I do. And it's impacted my business a lot. And so I've gotten a defamation lawyer. I'm trying to do what I can, but I guess I'm wondering, like, is this something that you fight? Is this something that you stand up for yourself for? Is this something you just ignore and try to elevate your business until it becomes white noise? Or how would you handle this?
Let me ask you a few questions, which is, do you believe that there's any truth to that?
No, not at all. Oh my God, because all my customers are happy. They love me. Like, they're so happy with what I do.
Understood. Okay. That was the first question I wanted to get out of. We don't know each other, so I'm trying to get to know you.
That's true. Are you a scam?
I was like, is there any truth to that? No. I didn't think so, but I wanted to know. So the biggest thing that I will say is that, there's people that say stuff about us. When we ran Gym Launch, we would have smear campaigns. We would have people literally running ads about us and how we're a scam and we're this and we're that and all these things.
Oh my God.
Everyone says you're a scam till you get to the top. In many cases, like until you have gained trust with an audience, gained trust with your customers enough, like a broad enough customer base, people will assume if you are showing like outsized results and maybe like you are something that people don't understand, they will underestimate you, right? Or they will say you're invalid, you're a fraud, you're these things, whatever word you want to use, you're not real, you're not legit, right? And I think that the best approach that you can take is completely ignoring it. And I swear to God, every single person tells me, they're like, Leila, you don't understand. They've got this, they've got that, they've got all these things. If you believe that you are in the right and that you are not doing anything wrong, and you're like, I'm not, then what good does it do to address the negative attention? That's what I would outweigh is like, what's the upside to me addressing this attention and what's the downside? Okay, so let's play out, what are the benefits of me addressing what people say? Well, the benefits could be that strangers that don't know who I am and may never buy from me may now see that people were calling me a scam, and I am now addressing that I am not a scam. And I also have no proof of that, but I'm going to tell people that I'm not a scam.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The downside is that I draw attention to the name scam. I now associate myself with the word scam. And so when people see me, they remember that I told them that I'm not a scam. But even though you say I am not, all they hear is you.
Scam. Yeah.
So what's the alternative, right? Because that's like, there's no direction there. It's just like, fuck, okay, ignore it. Like I call it an extinction curve. So when somebody comes to you and they're constantly pestering you, like maybe they're coming to you and they're like messaging you, you're a scam, you're a scam, you're a scam. Everybody has an extinction curve, which means they will bug you to a point where it will slowly die down. So it might be like they're saying it 3 times a week, might go to 2 times a week, might go to 1 time a week, might go to 0. Some people have long extinction curves. Somebody might be after you for 6 months saying that you're a scam, but it will eventually die if you do not feed it, just like a fire. Now, what do you do instead is, in order to outweigh that, in my opinion, you get more loud about what you are. Talking about what you're not doesn't help your brand, but talking about what you are will help grow your brand. I don't feel like you're the kind of person that you would want to speak negatively of others, because I think brands built by talking against and talking negatively of others, sure, they can get big brands, but what kind of brand do you want? In this industry, if you want to build trust with people, then speak about who you are rather than what you're not. I think that that's the route to go. I would double down on what your message is to your audience. I would get louder. So not only are you ignoring these people, but you're also getting louder about what you are. And then you just got to do it for years until they just eventually like, fuck off. Like they want your attention. That's it.
Yeah, fair enough. I love that. In addition to that, since it has affected my business, and I mean, unfortunately, a couple of my employees are like, "Hey, we don't really like what's going on here. Why are people talking about you this way?" How would you address that internally when like they're almost, I mean, I've told them to look at, I've told them to look at the people they're working with, the clients. The proof is in the pudding that like people love us. Our return rate or people wanting to leave or turnover rate is super low. People really retain with us. But they're still so skeptical and dubious. Are those people that you let go of? Are those people that you try to change their mindset?
I think that, again, you get louder with your message, but you do it inside. So like whatever you do internally and like externally, you've got to get loud about your message. You've got to do the same internally. I've done that. In Gym Launch, there was a time where I was like, man, there's a lot of people here I don't feel like genuinely want the best for the business, right? And I made this entire presentation for the team. And I said, this is who we are. This is what we are. This is how we operate as a team. If you don't jive with that, I am totally cool with that. It means nothing to me if you don't jive with this. But what it does mean is that you should consider if you should be working here. And I had 2 people leave. They quit right after that call. And I said, I love you guys. I respect that you actually opted out based on what I said. As long as you are presenting an accurate depiction to the people in your business of who you are and what you stand for, you're not for everybody. And that is totally okay. But you've got to be comfortable enough getting loud about who you are that it repels the people who aren't about that.
Very cool. Well, thank you for your time and thanks for answering my question.
Absolutely. Let me know how it goes. I'm curious.
Me too. Bye.
Okay, bye.
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, Marcel?
First things first, I got to say thank you and Alex. I joined Gym Launch 2017 to 2018, and it completely changed the way I look at business, how I handle business, how I talk to clients. Unfortunately,
your name was familiar, and I was like,
yeah. You guys, I gotta tell her. I tell you everyone about you guys, the books. Like it's just has been gold for me. It's helped me get a lot of clients that I thought I would never get. Backstory was I got the gym, grew to 2 gyms, and I don't want to say it to mess up the algorithm, but the algorithm gods. So 2020, when the world ended, I actually lost everything. They repossessed my car and went into a huge depression, moved across country, started another business, built 2 portfolios, ended up in a bad partnership, lost that, and now I'm building another brand. Slowly, it's growing. But my question to you was this: how do y'all handle scaling your business and burning out while I don't want to say it, the world is at an end?
Why does the world feel like it's going to end?
At least for me, I've gone through hell and high water way too many times. So it's gotten to the point where, I usually don't second guess myself. I just do it and say, fuck it. Worst is going to happen. I'm going to lose money and we'll do it again. Right. But now at this time, I have been so reserved that there are days that I even reject clients. I've never done that. And it's gotten to the point where, after filing bankruptcy, you're nervous about everything. So how do you deal with something like that?
Have you learned from those experiences? Because what you're doing right now sounds like you've learned a lot.
I've learned a lot.
And it sounds like maybe what punishing experiences like that actually do is they cause us to slow down and think more through our decisions. Do you think that that's what you're doing?
I think so. I think I'm very reserved. I feel to the point where if I don't click with the client at this point, we're not gonna proceed.
Why is that bad?
I don't know. I was never like that. I was like, yeah, man, fuck it. Let's get this done. Get them, rock and roll, move on to the next thing. Now I'm just like, let's chill out, man. Like, you know what I mean?
Because you've seen the consequences of bringing people on who maybe aren't the best fit and that you don't get along with, right?
I think so.
I think that's a good thing. And I think it doesn't feel normal to you because you probably are used to a faster pace. But like, I think a lot of the signs of a matured entrepreneur is learning to be more patient and a little bit more methodical. And I think the way in which negative experiences help us is when we have negative emotions or negative associations, they cause us to slow down. So like, does it feel good? Maybe not, but like, have you learned and are you implementing the learnings? If so, then that's good. Because it sounds like, dude, you got like beat up. But at the same time, like most people that are in your situation, they get beat up and they would not be on here. They would be doing the same thing again. You're not. you learn from your experience. Like what more could you ask from a human on this earth?
Cool. Yeah. My other mentor said the same thing. He's like, congratulations, you went bankrupt. I was like, fuck, dude, what?
Like, I think it's just like, I think you're just beating yourself up. Like business is hard. There's a lot of easily made net zero decisions where it's like, you make one decision and it literally levels out the whole thing. Doesn't matter how many other good decisions you made, that one decision, picking the wrong partner, destroys the business, right? The unfortunate thing is that sometimes we don't learn ahead enough of time to learn what those net zero decisions are. And so then we continue to make them. But now I think that it has slowed you down enough that you're being methodical and you can get ahead of those decisions and say, okay, let's be methodical in decision making. There's what's going to happen in the next 10 minutes. And then there's what's going to happen in 10 years if I do this. And I think that somebody can think through that frame and say, it needs to have a positive for both, right? Like, how can we make it a win-win in the short term and the long term? It sounds like what you were doing is you had short-term wins, sacrificing long-term growth of the company or, health of the company. And now it sounds like you're saying, I need to get short and long-term aligned. And I think that that's like, dude, that's just a sign that you've grown. That's awesome.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
I think you're doing great. And I think it's really fucking inspiring that you're on here doing this a third time because most people don't even do it once.
Thank you for everything. And just keep on crushing it,
Thanks, Marcel. I appreciate it too.
Thank you.
Hi, Melanie.
Hello, hello, hello. First and foremost, thank you so much for having me, Leila.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate you being here and taking the time at like random time on a Thursday.
My pleasure, my honor. So let's jump right into it. So Melanie Patterson, CEO and founder of Integrity Global Logistics, which is a 3PL transportation and logistics, and then Team Integrity Knowledge Center, which is a premium consulting company where we guide small to medium firms into government contracting. So we are a proud certified minority woman-owned transportation company. And so I can identify with you and your alpha characteristics working in a male-dominated industry. My question for you is, although I have a ton of questions, my main question for you, so we're in the process of scaling and growing the company. Marketing is a huge component. Okay. Right now we're in a space where we kind of have free marketing via social media platforms. My question is, how do you have time to create the content, guide the captions, the content, and the brand, as well as truly work as a CEO of your company?
Yeah. I think it's different for everybody based on the demands of the company, the team that you have, and what your goals are in making content. When I set out to make content, it wasn't like I'm going to make content at the expense of the company. It was, I know in the beginning, it may be harder to make content because we don't have a full team yet, but the goal was always, can we move more from, like manufactured straight to camera content to like, eventually one day I'd love it to be like 100% captured. Right. And can we do it in ways like even doing this right here?
Yeah,
this
sure.
way, honestly, I just feel like it's way more valuable because like, I love these conversations and like, I have a hard time. I feel like I'm like very serious when I'm like staring at a camera and I'm like, 4 people are watching me in a room and I'm like, you know what I mean?
For sure.
Yeah. It's just like, it feels not natural. So I think it's been a journey and it's also not been perfect at all. So like in the beginning, we had just sold our companies and we had like 3 people on the team. Like, fuck, I don't have that much to do. Right. Which I kind of did, but at the same time, I didn't because I wasn't managing a whole team of people that were functional heads. And so I had a lot more time to make like direct to camera content. And actually what happened was like, just a few months ago, I had a moment where I was just like losing it. I was like, I don't have time to prep for these content sessions anymore. Like, I don't have time to make this anymore. I don't have time. And what I'm super thankful for was I communicated that to the team and they were like, then we need to change the strategy. Like this needs to be sustainable for you. And if it's not sustainable for you and you can't like completely focus on what you need to do in the company, then it's not going to work for long term. It's just not going to work. And so is it perfect? No. But that's not my goal. My goal is not to be perfect with making content. My goal is to do it in a way that I find enjoyable and then I can keep doing. You know what I mean? Like if I only made direct to camera, which I think Alex is phenomenal at making that. Like I don't feel phenomenal at making it. And I also feel like, I just feel like I'm the worst version of myself when I make it. Like I feel like uber serious. I feel like dry. I feel like my humor doesn't come out. Like I just feel like, ooh. And so I recently was like, I want to switch to more like live engaging with people, like capturing, like I just did the video we dropped today was like a day in the life on YouTube. Yep. Like that's what I'm trying to do because I feel like I can sustain that. But The difference is like, here's the few choices I made because I knew that that was the strategy I was going to need. One is that we had all vendors in the beginning, and I was looking at that and I was like, you can't do that if you really want them to be able to accommodate you. Like, it's just tough because the vendor has their own agenda and they have like, this is the package we have for clients. And so it was like, I was still having to do a lot of QA. There was a lot that was going out that was like more optimized for views and not brand, that I was like, cool, like I know the views, but I like fucking hate this video and I seem like a complete bitch. Like, I don't want that going out on public. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah. Like, and so I think that that's kind of been the strategy, is like, first we had vendors and then we hired Caleb, and I was like, okay, we got to take this all in-house, right? And he's like, yes. So that's been the goal. We've just been taking it all in-house over time. And because of that, the team, we interact and they know like, okay, we need to shift because like Leila's really busy right now. So we need to shift to something else. Or like, we need to shift for Alex because he's like heads down writing the book right now. And they're able to accommodate us because they understand that we want content to be something that we can do forever, not something that we're just doing for like a year.
Now, with that, you know how important it is to document all of your processes and develop a system. Are you doing that? Are you hands-on with that task? Or are you saying, hey, look, delegate that?
Melanie, the first thing that we did was I was like, I need to hire somebody to be over all of this. And that was when we brought in Caleb. I have not touched literally any of it. I don't know what the systems look like. People literally think I'm lying when I say they're like, what do you use to edit? I have no idea how we edit videos, what we edit videos. Half the time, like they take my content and really do all of it. Like I literally just am on camera. That's it.
So no approvals.
I will approve content from new people on the team if they are. So I think there's a difference. If it's things that I'm saying, like videos, I don't approve anything like that. If you catch me on video like that, I would rather, I don't like the whole, like I have to approve and then it goes out. I think that they learn faster if it goes out and then they see that maybe I don't like it or that the audience doesn't like it. Like I would rather let them have that to own themselves, because I look at it like if I want to create a big brand, it's not just Leila creating it, it's like a whole team. And so I don't want to steal that opportunity from them. I don't like to approve too much ahead of time. The only times I will is if it's like, if it would be long form written word, I will write that. Like, I don't necessarily like, unless they find it from like, they'll find stuff that I wrote years ago or find stuff that I've written in other contexts and repurposed on platforms, but organic long form written content will come from me. But that's it. And that's like really infrequent.
Wow. So that's actually you behind the captions in some of those captions. With that, is that really you commenting and engaging in the DMs and things of that nature?
Yeah. Nobody else is going to pretend to be me. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. I don't think that that's like good for the brand. I had a Twitter ghostwriter for a while. I think he did a great job, but I just didn't feel like it was me. So it's always me commenting. It's always me in the DMs. Like I like that stuff. You know what I mean? Like I genuinely, if I can answer someone's question and I have time, then I will. I do it between meetings. I do it when I'm in the bathroom.
That was the last question. That was the last question that I had. Are you blocking out some time to say, hey, look, let's go ahead and respond to some of these DMs, some of these comments before we hop into this next meeting, when we're in the Uber or when we're driving into town or whatever the case may be? Yeah.
If I have time, it's definitely like the natural instinct of what to do. So I will do it between sets at the gym. Like, I'm not saying this is like saying
this is not ideal.
Yeah, I'll do it like between sets at the gym. I'll do it when I'm like between meetings. I'll do it, you know, when I'm having a snack.
When you have time. When you have time.
I don't like set a time for it because I think some days I have no time and some days I have an hour.
Awesome. Love it, love it, love it. All right, Leila, till the next time. Take care. Thank you.
Appreciate you and your team having me on here.
Absolutely. How do you say your name? I don't say it wrong. Sai?
Yeah, Sai.
Okay, perfect.
So the question I had was, me and a couple partners are in the process of making a web app that's for e-learning. What we have in mind for the launch of it is to build an audience before launch to like get them engaged, and then also hit heavy on marketing through social media after the launch, because the target demographic is like 18 to like 40 that we're planning for it. So my question was like, how would you go about like retaining that? Would it be through like content creation or promotions?
You mean gaining the audience?
Yeah.
So do you have any audience right now?
No, we didn't start yet.
Explain the value that this is going to bring to the customers. Like, what is the primary problem it solves?
It's like course creation, and it's also like where people can buy those same courses. So it's similar to like Udemy, except it has more features. Like we're also going to integrate like tutoring into it. So it's like an all-in-one for like students or anyone just looking to gain some skills that'll help them in the business world.
Okay, that makes sense. Have you done a beta test yet? Like, have you gone through the different phases of like 2 to 3 beta groups?
No, because we're still in the process of coding it.
That's fair. I feel like I would be doing you a disservice to tell you that you should build an audience right now and start marketing it before you've done that. So like if I were you, because here's how I market everything, that like when we start a different business, the way that we're able to market it is from the results from the beta tests that we've run by giving it away for free.
Okay.
So like when we first built Alan, our software company, we basically had 3 phases to the beta, which was like, okay, when we have X amount of features, we bring in this many people and we have like a contract, we do a call with them, we explain like it's a piece of shit right now, whatever, like it's in test mode, it's all these things, but here's what we would like you to do, will you comply, etc. And then we run the beta with them for a period of time, say a month, bring in phase 2, a few more people, a few different kinds of people, a few different kinds of businesses, phase 2 beta, and then and it increases in size and in what features they have access to on each one, because we've been developing in the background. And then what we do is we take the testimonials from those people using it and we use those to market the product. Now, the thing is that if you don't get testimonials from that, the product's probably not ready to market, because here's the thing is like, it is freaking, like you're in a competitive industry. And so I would be really cognizant of not using promotion as a crutch for the product, because at the end of the day, what's the goal of the business? Is it to sell it or to keep it or cash flow?
Well, I have in mind to keep it, but I don't know what my business partners have in mind. So,
well, first piece of advice is I would make sure you guys are all on the same page, because I think how you build it and what the end goal is going to dictate literally all of these decisions.
I see. Okay.
Because in terms of like, if you want to just promote the shit out of this thing and just get people on it and like, they're satisfied, but there's a lot of competition. So it's like, it's a tough market. Then it's like, okay, well, what's the churn? And I can tell you that I have friends that have, $500 million SaaS businesses that can barely get this thing to fucking sell because their churn is 20%, monthly, which is like it's just like frightening to an investor. So it's like your end goal can dictate what you do now and what the strategy for the business is. If it is, cash flow and you want to keep it for the long haul, then like I do suggest honestly, I would suggest with any approach is just first starting with the betas, expanding with the betas, allowing those to give you the information to make the product what it needs to be upon launch, and then asking those people basically in exchange for doing the beta and me giving it to you for free, can I use your testimonial to market the product?
Okay.
Does that make sense? And then I would use those. The best case scenario is that you get influencers who have large audiences to be in the beta groups. They exchange their testimonials so that you can use that, but it all relies on, it has to be dialed, because it's just going to, obviously it'll backfire if not. So I would make sure that you're in a place where you feel confident in the delivery of the product before you go into doing that. At least like, MVP that has like at least a decent UX experience. You know what I mean? To do beta 1, like you can't have no UX for beta 1. You need some, and then move across the phases. And I would also ask them, run a price sensitivity test to beta group 3. So go look up, Patrick Campbell. They basically have all the information on how you can price your SaaS product for going to market. I would follow that. And I know that it's going to talk about like beta groups and running surveys to those beta groups of what the price could be. And then that can also dictate when you go to market.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, for sure. And when we do these beta tests, like, do you suggest like just like putting it out on Instagram or something, because we don't have any like followers or anything?
No, I would individually, put it on Instagram, sure. Like, I don't think it's not worth doing, but I think I would individually like send a custom, like very personalized message or even a gift to the people that would be your ideal beta testers.
Okay.
Like who are people who are influencers, but like scrappy enough that they would be interested in trying something new.
Yeah.
Like Alex and I have taken risks on people who have new stuff because like we like that and it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There's some people who maybe they wouldn't because they don't care or whatever. I would also add that some of these people, it may be their team that will be running the beta, not them.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, there's like 2 parts to it. So one person can like also create courses, and then they could also like buy courses from the people who've created it. So I've made like a list of like 500-ish influencers that like have expertise in certain fields, like some are in coding, some are in like financial markets, whatever it is. And so what you're suggesting is like I hit up each one of those people individually and really personalize the message and ask them to try it out, and that would be like the beta test.
Try it out. It's free for them.
Mm-hmm.
Try and blow their minds like in as many ways possible. So you can get other stuff that you can stack on top of that, like just make it a good experience for them. And then in exchange for them trying out and doing the beta or completing the beta process, you get the testimonial for free.
Okay, got it. Thanks so much. That helps out a lot. I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck, dude.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.
Hi.
Hi, is it Shaheen?
Yes, it is.
So cool. So what did you want to talk about today?
I'm struggling right now with helping my team deal with the stress emotionally. You know, we're in a business that goes from 0 to 100 constantly, and they have stress that's coming from our developers and then stress that's coming from the clients. And I don't know how to support them properly.
No, I hear what you're saying, which is like you don't want them to be discontent. You want to make sure that they like enjoy where they're working and all of those things, which I think is good intention. I'll tell you a few things and you tell me if it resonates. I think first off is something that I learned in my journey, managing a lot of people in high growth, highly stressful environments, is the value of not stealing a growth opportunity from them. So many times I protected people in my company because I felt like protecting them and interfering with the situation and getting in there and talking to the person for them, de-escalating a situation for them was the right thing to do. But what I realized is that that was basically signaling to them that I felt they were incapable of doing it themselves. And what I realized was that what I actually needed to do was be the person that could give them the tools to then interfere those situations themselves. So if the developers are difficult to communicate with, rather than me interfering and going and talking directly to the developers, I would say, you know what? I understand you're having a difficult time with the developers. Let's get on a call and let's script out what you can say the next time the situation occurs. And then what I would do is I would role play it with them. I'm not kidding. So every time that somebody has had like a disagreement with somebody on the team, oftentimes I'll think on it. And then a lot of times the conclusion is like, they need to be the one to say this thing, and I will help them script it out and then practice how they're going to present it to that person. Because I think scripting it is like, that's good, but it's not enough, because like when you're in the situation, their emotions are high, and like as your emotions are high, your IQ goes down. And so people just like go to whatever the default is. If you've practiced what you're going to say enough, then you can practice it in the situation. I think that that is one of the most useful things I've done. I'll say that the second piece to helping manage frustration is not making it about the situation, right? So there's the developers and then there's your employee. And I think that you have to divorce the two. They cannot control what the developers are going to do, nor can you. But what you can do is use that as an opportunity to talk about, okay, so when you're in a frustrating situation where somebody upsets you, how do you react? And that's where you get to work with them on that. It's not about the developers. It's about how what their response is in a situation where something happens that they don't like. And I think that the more that you can get them to focus on their response in a frustrating situation, like their level of frustration tolerance, for example, that is going to help them like objectively look at the situation. But two, I think that it's much more empowering, because what they're feeling right now is like, well, we need to control the developers and she can come here and control them. But that doesn't add value to the employee. That doesn't help them in life. It doesn't drive them forward. So I think if you can do those two things, which is like help separate their perspective or help basically divorce the two in their mind so that they see this is about your reaction to the situation, not to the developers. Like they don't have to, this doesn't have to do with them, right? And then the second is work with them on scripting, because I think that the worst thing that we can do as leaders is we say, oh, just like work it out with them. Go do this, go do that. But it's like, what do I do? Like I don't have experience. Tell me what it looks like. And I think the second best thing to like watching you do it, right, is that you helped script it and role play it with them. Does that resonate at all?
No, it makes so much sense. It's like I never, like I don't know if it's like the CEO mindset, but like I'm always like used to like stepping in and jumping in, and
yeah,
I feel like that will give them a lot more experience than just watching me do it, or just me mothering them and just doing something that they could be doing and growing from. And it makes like a lot of sense.
Yeah. And I think it's super typical, right? Because it's like, we feel like, well, they don't have control of this other person. So, and so I should intercept. But the thing is that what that does is that you train them that they only stop the situation when you are present. So it will continue to happen behind your back because they won't learn how to actually behave differently. They'll just learn, oh, when she's here, we can't behave that way. But when she's gone, we'll behave that way again. But if you cannot interfere and then give them the tools to learn to manage their own emotional regulation in those situations, and then give them the tools of like how to actually respond in those situations, I think that they will come out way better on the other side. And I also think that your reaction when they come to you and they say, I'm so frustrated with these developers, the more that you make it like it's an emergency, the more they believe it's bad. So if you're like, okay, let's give it a day or two, and then let's tackle this on Monday. They're like, oh, like interesting that you would do that. And some people might even at first be like very shocked, like, why would you not treat this as an emergency? Right. But the more that you can treat it like this is okay, and because it is okay and it is normal, it's part of work, then they will take that and respond, and it'll probably de-escalate their emotional response once they start seeing that you don't just stop, drop, and roll and interfere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it makes so much sense. Like to the point that I'm like, why did I not think about that before? Thank you so much.
Hi, Nate.
How you doing, Leila? Thanks for the opportunity. So I'm a stunt writer, content creator, and like an inspirational speaker, and I'm really interested. I'm a big believer on it's not what we do, but it's who we are. And so the question I wanted to ask you for a lot of my audience and for myself as well, like talk to me about like the dark times of entrepreneurship, right? Like I've heard Alex's part of, when like all the money left the account, like what is the internal dialogue that's going through your mind, and how are you getting through those times of like, this is so uncertain, like what the fuck are we going to do? Like,
I mean, I think that I would bet everybody watching this that's an entrepreneur has had the moments where you're like, am I a complete fucking idiot? Like people think I'm this, like I'm totally a sham. Like I'm really not as smart as I think I am. Like, I don't think I can do this. Maybe I'm like completely in over my head. Like everybody has those thoughts, like, I mean, fuck, I still have them. Like, it's not like it go away. I think here's the thing is like, I think we all have those like really messed up thoughts about how it's like, it's always the same shit, right? It's just like, one, show me a loser who is concerned with doing well. This is what I call like the downside of the upside. Like when you care a lot about something, you also get overly concerned with it. And then you have thoughts like that. Worst case scenario, I'm not good enough, all these things. So I look at it as a gift, because if you didn't have those thoughts, you also probably wouldn't care enough to actually be successful.
Was there like a mantra for you or something, or like a quote or something that you were like grasping onto during the time? And like I said, I've heard the story from Alex, but I've never heard it from your angle. Like, what is the dialogue within that to where you're like, no, we're not going back, right?
I don't rely on the dialogue because, dude, the dialogue was not good. The dialogue was like, you suck. The dialogue was like, this isn't going to work. I'm fucking 23 trying to run like a 8-figure whatever business. I've never managed people. I have no experience. My brain had no evidence that I would ever be successful doing that, nor did his. And so what I did was I committed to the process. I was like, if I stick with the plan and I follow the process and I take the actions that somebody who was successful and didn't have these thoughts would take, then maybe I have a shot. And that is literally what I've always relied on. I tell people all the time, you don't need to think a certain way. You don't need to feel a certain way about yourself to be successful. Just like people who diet and they're like, I don't believe I can lose weight. If you eat in a calorie deficit, no matter what thoughts come up into your head, you will lose weight.
Yeah.
So if you take the actions that somebody that wasn't having those thoughts would have. So the mantra that I have had for that, Nate, is prove yourself wrong. I have those thoughts that come into my head. I just think to myself, prove yourself wrong. Go take the action despite the fact that you don't believe that you can do it. I look at it like my thoughts only affect a certain amount. Like my behavior is actually what dictates most of the results of my life. That is all that matters at the end of the day. And the thing is, the thoughts and the feelings will follow the behavior. So once you achieve the thing, then you will be like, oh, I think I can do this. I think I could do that again. The first time like I spoke on stage, I literally kept thinking I was going to have a panic attack when I stepped on stage, like mouth dry, like sweating profusely, whatever. And I was like, I'm totally having a panic attack when I got on stage. I went on stage and I was totally fine. And so after that, I was like, oh, I'm totally fine. I can speak on stage. But like I had to do the thing to earn the evidence to prove to myself that I can do the thing.
So you start stacking so much evidence of things that you never thought were possible. That you're like, what the fuck can I do? Really? I mean,
yes.
right.
And that's where confidence comes from, is you've done enough things that you didn't believe you could do, and you've done them anyways, that then you feel confident when a new task comes. I think I can do this because I have so much evidence now to prove why I can rather than why I can't.
What happens when all the evidence I'm collecting says I'm a fuck up and I'm a failure and what I'm doing is not working?
I mean, maybe what you're doing right now isn't working right now, but maybe it'll work in 6 months. I think that a lot of the times what it is lack of patience.
Yeah,
it's
100%.
that we want things to happen on our timeline. I do too, Nate. I'm like, why is acquisition.com not 10 billion yet? I'm very impatient about that, but I recognize that things will not happen on my timeline. And I think you have to give yourself grace. And I think that what most people do in the beginning is they have a very skewed understanding of how long things take. The biggest thing is not giving up. Like, I don't know many people who, once they have confirmed with somebody who maybe is a few steps ahead that their strategy is sound, then they start working on it. I don't know many people that when they have been confirmed that they have a sound strategy, don't actually achieve it if they just continue to try. Because business is a lot harder than people think. Getting things started is way harder than you think. Continuing to grow business is way harder than you think. And a lot of people put out the perception that it's a lot easier and more sexy than it is. I mean, we have a portfolio of companies, and I see hundreds of companies a week, their financials, their market, their revenue, their trend. Most companies don't go like this. It's like shit the bed, grow, shit the bed, grow. Like it's in steps. And I think most of life is that way. Everything's going to take longer and be harder than you think it is.
Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Hi, Leila. I have to say, you look fantastic. I think nobody complimented, but you look great.
Oh, thank you.
So I run a recruitment agency. We mainly recruit marketing and e-com talent. And right now we're at the stage where we want to build a community for 2 reasons. Because we want to attract the right people for our clients, but at the same time also get leads. So my question,
what kind of agency was it? You said a what agency?
Recruitment.
Okay.
Yes. So my question is, which marketing efforts would you recommend to prioritize in 2023 for a small business like us, for service business?
How are you currently getting clients right now?
Through LinkedIn and referrals.
Okay. And so you don't need help finding more employees for the recruitment. You need help finding more clients. Is that correct?
More clients. Yes. That's probably the main thing why we're thinking about, how to build a community, how to get more visibility.
Right now, how long have you been making content?
Videos, probably like 6 months.
Okay.
Posts and stuff for probably like 3 years.
Okay. And then when did it really start picking up?
I wouldn't say it's like at that peak, like, where I get lots of engagement and stuff. So it's not like extremely, popular. So that's why I'm trying to get to. I would like to get more engagement, more people to see those posts and so on.
How many clients do you have right now?
11, 12 clients. And they have like ongoing multiple recruitments with us. But then, that's basically the number of clients we have at any given moment.
What's the clientele look like? Like, what kind of business owners are you looking for?
Between 10 to 50 people. So we're focusing on small businesses rather than large ones, because, when they have a large company, they usually have internal HR, they have recruiters and so on. So we try to focus on those small companies where, they don't want to bring in-house yet.
Yeah. I'm going to go a different route with this than I thought I was going to go, which is most recruiting agencies that I know actually work really well doing outbound. Especially when you're a niche recruiting agency. So I was thinking, like, between the content and the referrals, however, the only way to decide if you want to, like, which process would be, you have to find out the lifetime value of a customer who comes through referral and the lifetime value of one that comes from LinkedIn. And if the lifetime value of a customer from LinkedIn is like crazy high, then I'd be like, okay, well, let's just do more content. That would be the first thing I would say. I'd be like, what kind of volume are you putting out right now? Let's try and put out twice the volume and see what happens. That would be the first thing that I would say to try. Now, if the lifetime value of the customers from LinkedIn was actually not that high, and maybe just in general, like, I don't know what your retention is for customers. I really like the outbound approach for your kind of business. I've looked at a lot of recruiting agencies, and the ones that scale the fastest and the biggest are really good at outbound, specifically on LinkedIn. So my thought would actually be that you make the content to build the credibility so that when you reach out to them outbound wise, they actually respond. Not
Okay.
to attract them. You'll get attraction through the content, yes, but that's going to take you time. You've only been doing it for 6 months. One, it's like, you know, the reason like our content's taken, well, we behind the scenes 6 years built this thing, sold it, money, like people are like, oh wow,
Yeah.
that's so impressive. So like that's like why they want to listen to our content. Versus if you're building something right now, you don't yet have those mile markers of credibility yet, and it's going to take time to stack those up. But I think in the meantime, like I really think that there's something to the outbound LinkedIn approach. And the fact that if you have a decent sized following with good content that resonates with the best customers that you want, then they will actually answer when you DM them. That is what I would do.
Okay. So outbound. Do you have any recommendations of, I don't know, books?
Yeah, I think there's two things. One, I mean, there's a really good book that I wouldn't like, it might be outdated now. It's called Impossible to Inevitable, talking about outbound. It's not going to be direct to LinkedIn. So I would take that all, just like take the greater concepts, which is like understanding how to build an outbound machine. The second piece to that is in terms of being able to contact the people, the reason why companies like yours, I think, have a hard time scaling is because like it is niche. Like when it comes to recruiting, like you do best doing niche, but it also means you have to be really good at finding niche clients. And so what you have to focus in on is just the one method that you can crack of getting them to open the message. So I can tell you, like I had a guy who he was a LinkedIn whiz, and it's like, you know, he messaged me a certain amount of times, then got my email, emailed me, double emailed me, sent me a video, you know, like most of the time it's volume. Like eventually somebody will crack, whether it's on number 7 that you've emailed them, number 10, number 11. And so it's speed to contact. And then as soon as they reply, and then it is, how much are you going to be able to follow up with that person? Now, I would say that what will make this easy is like the better your content is, the more valuable it is, they're more likely to answer. So I would just keep testing that. I would ask the clients that you have, what's the content that you resonate with the most? What content do you want to see? I'd be putting that out, and then I would be working on the outbound funnel, which might mean maybe you need to consult with somebody who's like an outbound specialist, which you can find those people on LinkedIn. You can just search outbound specialist.
Yeah, of course.
Talk about that. But I would be looking at other recruiting firms that are in different niches that use outbound, which is like literally 90% of them. And I'd be looking at what they're doing, I'd be following them, I'd be subscribing to them, I'd be messaging them, seeing how they interact, getting them to interact with me, and I'd be trying all of those things. It's going to take you time, but you can figure it out.
Okay, amazing. Good. Lots of inspiration. Thank you so much.
Hey, Steve.
Hey, how you doing? It's fantastic to meet you. Good. I've been consuming your content voraciously, so it's surreal to actually be talking to you right now.
That's cool. Well, I appreciate that a lot.
Cool. So my question is, because I was in corporate for like 22 years, and just last year I decided to do my own business, start my own business, and I spent the last year and a half discovering the cliche that the riches are in the niches. And so my question to you is, how do you test that your offer is, or that you pick the right niche for your offer or your service? Like, what are the KPIs, or what kind of practical things that would you do to actually figure that out?
I would say that the biggest ones are, what's your cost of acquisition, and what is your referral rate look like? So if you really like people who hit it out of the park with getting the right product, offer, pricing in their niche, they typically have a very high referral rate. Now, I don't know if you offer referrals, but that would be something interesting to test. What's the problem that we're solving? What's the problem that's occurring right now that you think that changing that would solve?
So I haven't really honed in on a niche over the last year and a half, so I'm getting ready to do that now. And so I'm just thinking practically, how do I know that I've actually picked the right one as I'm going forward?
Got it. So what's your business right now?
So I'm in tech operations, so I help businesses do things like automation, integration, those kinds of things to boost their revenue scale.
I think that then for that, when you're thinking of a niche, are you thinking of a type of business or a size of business?
So that's the question. So I'm thinking size of business, like 7-figure, or just cross 7 figures, B2B type business. That's kind of where I'm settled, but I don't know if I have a good way to like.
I think it's like there's the 2 to 3 buckets I see, which is like size of business, which also equates to how many employees, right? Because it's like you're at the point where they're not hiring somebody full time to do the job because like, you know, it for many businesses, like I know in Gym Launch, we were big enough, like I would never bring someone like you on because like I have a huge team, I need someone in-house, right? But they probably want you so you can get enough set up so that then eventually it can pass off to somebody. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
So it's like business size, employee size. I think sticking with B2B or B2C makes a lot of sense. And then I think a broad range of like what type of business, like can you set up software? You know, is that beyond your scope? Is e-commerce beyond your scope? That's what I would think through. I think the size and the B2B, that feels good as a niche. Like that feels like it could even be the niche in itself. I think the third piece is like industry or even like vertical that you're in. Because I don't know enough about tech automation to know if that would be outside scope. Like, is it different for SaaS versus?
Well, I mean, it would be different tools, but yeah. So it can affect the kind of customers that I could work with. Yeah.
Right. So then maybe what we start with is you say, this is the revenue. Probably when they're hitting that, like they're at the like 3 to 5 million mark is when they're like actually have the capacity to think about like, oh, I need to bring tech in. Like that's the lowest of time I see it. Unless they're software, in which case they're usually a little more techy. Minimum 3 to 5. And then it's like, okay, B2B, I think that's good to choose that because I think that a lot of the times B2C might have a little bit easier automation. So like B2B is usually a little bit more. And then I'd be looking at, okay, is it gonna be SaaS, e-commerce, service, one of those? And then I would test. And then I'd probably test with whichever one you think is more scalable if you want to like eventually hire a team and such. Like if I had to teach others to do this, which niche would I pick, right? Not me as Steve, but like if others had to duplicate this, which one would it be? That's what I would start with. And I would figure out which niche is your bread and butter to get going with. And then you can expand later. But I feel like that's actually pretty spot on to start picking from those 3 buckets.
Okay, cool.
Does that feel good?
I guess I'm the easy one today.
I just actually when we started talking about it, I was like, it feels like, because we actually bring in a lot of tech for acquisition.com for the businesses that come in, like the minimum is $1 million in EBITDA. And around that point is when they really just need they need tech operations. And so we bring somebody in to help with that. So I'm just thinking for you, I'm like, you should just, I know that's usually when they need it. So I'm assuming maybe at that point, they don't quite realize it themselves. That's why I say 3 to 5 is the floor.
All right.
Cool.
Thank you.
Well, good luck, Steve. How's it going?
It's going well. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to ask questions.
Of course.
So my question was, do you have any advice on how to determine when it's time to make the leap and go all in on an idea? Part of me says to stay put because the economy is about to blow up and I should just keep side hustling. And then there's another part of me that says I should take the leap because great businesses are built during periods of economic turmoil. So, and just for background, I have a W-2 and then I'm a subcontractor on the side. Yeah, and so I'm trying to launch my own business, and so I can't keep doing both. I'm gonna have to pick. So I'm just trying to get clarity.
So do you make equivalent money from your side hustle that you do from your job?
I could if I went full time, I could make it. I can match my W-2 money or actually exceed it because there's no cap on it. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think the upside is to keeping your job and not going all in on your side hustle?
You know, the safety, the security. I could retire in 7 years and get a annuity payment for the rest of my life. Or I could go out and earn, 7 figures, which would also pay me for the rest of my life. So.
Okay, we were sticking on the benefits of sticking with the job. So
okay.
What would be the benefits to going all in on the side hustle?
I could be location independent. I could be time independent. I'd own my own time. I could pour into my business. I'd have more time to pour into my business.
Okay, those are all valid. Which do you enjoy more?
I think I enjoy my business, the concept of my business, which is to do training and facilitations, right? My side hustle is to do investigations. So I think I would enjoy the side hustle plus being able to explore training and coaching.
So do you enjoy your business, your side hustle as it stands right now? Or you said the concept?
No, I don't enjoy it. It's something that I do with extra time that I have to be able to take trips or invest in the stock market or fund my business. Basically, I would be using my side hustle to fund the business.
Oh, I see. So you would use your side hustle to build the business. The side hustle is not going to turn into the business.
No, the business is an evolution from the side hustle is investigations, but the business part of it is training and coaching on the types of things I would be investigating to prevent. I'm an EEO person, so I do discrimination, harassment, retaliation. So I want to move more to the prevention side and training people and then coaching executives if they need remediation.
So how much of a risk do you think it actually is to do the side hustle more so that you could quit the job to pursue the business? Low, moderate, high?
Probably low. It's not like investigations are going to disappear tomorrow, right? Even if the economy gets worse, there'll be more of them.
There's another question.
Okay.
Which is, if you went all in on the side hustle, which it sounds honestly like, I mean, like a pretty, like you have a lower risk than most people I talk to about this. Just being real, like you do, but it's your appetite for risk is what's most important. Because like if you're going to get in there and then you're freak the fuck out, then like you're not going to be good to build something. So I think you have to know that about yourself. That's the first thing, Gina, is like, if you let go of the job and you go in on the side hustle and that's what you're focused on, are you going to be able to like keep yourself straight when it is going to be scary at first? That's the first thing I'd be considering. And then the second thing that I would think about is really with the side hustle. Like, it sounds like you have a good support network and all this stuff. You know, maybe you build up the side hustle before you start working on a business so that you get like a little more of a cushion before you start. Like, that's a lot of change at once. So it'd be like, you were kind of putting into like one step where it's like, quit the job, side hustle, business. I'd be like, quit the job, full-time side hustle, build up the cash, start the business.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm
Yeah. Okay. I didn't think about that. Yeah,
It's
because I
just-
could just go hard, super hard, like double my income.
Yeah. What I worry about is the split attention between like, I just quit my job. I'm now going to keep doing my side hustle, but I'm also going to start a bit like, it's just a lot. I would just like give yourself the grace to kind of do those steps. And like, worst case scenario, what? You get a job again?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
No, I think all of the jobs will disappear as soon as I quit mine, and no one will ever hire me.
Listen, I can't guarantee you anything, but you seem fantastic. So I find it hard to believe. People usually like to hire people that are, you know, pleasant and nice.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Think on that though. It's your appetite for risk. It sounds like you've identified it's low risk. Now it's just a question of the logistics of what would that look like, and maybe just slow down your timeline a little bit to give yourself time to acclimate.
Thank you. That's awesome. I'll do that.
You're welcome. All right, have a good one, Gina. All right, guys. I'm like 2 minutes late to a meeting. I appreciate all of you. Let me know in the comments what you think. What can we do differently next time? Any feedback you have? And I appreciate all the attention from all of you over the last hour.